Hello, my name is Palma Accardi, and you're watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We're filmed live every Tuesday night here at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City.
I'm meteorologist Dan Skeldon. A quiet evening so far. We're watching some storms come in, guys, that are going to weaken, the South Jersey effect, not cause any tidal flooding, bring some heavy rain, wind, lightning, all that fun stuff, and we'll talk a little bit about those. But as always, we're here at the Irish Pub, 7 o'clock every Tuesday, to talk tidal flooding every week. Our executive producer brings on a great guest, and we have Jay Dilworth here with us. Palma, tell us a little bit about Jay.
Jay is this year's recipient of the Building Inspector of the Year, and he is also a certified floodplain manager.
Jay, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure.
All right,
Palma, thank you.
And Jay is a lifelong South Jersey resident, Lower Township. He's lived through some earthquakes, and actually been to places that have lived through earthquakes and hurricanes, and kind of has a unique perspective. And look forward to talking with him for the next 20 to 25 minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to chime in, or you can just listen into the conversation. And of course, you can always join us live, where people do. We're working on some drink and food specials at the Irish Pub. All of this brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition, 501c3, non-charitable organization working to raise tidal flooding awareness, coastal resiliency. It's what they do best, and they're great at doing it, having been in existence now ever since Hurricane Sandy. As always, Palma fires away with the first question.
Sure. So Jay, could you tell us how you got started working in the building code industry?
Sure, Palma. I started right out of high school in the family business, building business. And after 20 years or so, I went to school and got my inspector's license. The economy slowed down, so I was able to jump right into inspections, continue to go through school. One thing led to another. I got additional licenses. My original job, I got hired by a New Jersey third-party agency. I worked wherever they sent me. I did that for 10 years. Then I hooked onto another third-party agency, did some South Jersey things, worked for a few municipalities, and eventually started my own company. So I live in both worlds. I'm a municipal employee, but I also have a third-party agency that contracts to municipalities.
And you are a certified floodplain manager.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about what it takes to become certified, and what that job entails.
Well, it's we had talked earlier before we went live about the requirements of the testing, the education, and probably I would guess for any of us in the business, the certified floodplain manager test is probably the most difficult test to take. So
Did you pass it on the first try?
I did.
Nice
I did. And
I didn't know the answer to that ahead of time. I didn't want to say no. It took me 6 times.
I won't tell you my grade,
okay.
But I did pass it on the first time.
All right, nice job.
Why is it the hardest test?
It's a closed book test. So so someone of my advanced age who hasn't taken the closed book test since high school, it was a challenge, but we got through the challenge.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you have several licenses: building, inspector, plumbing, electrical, and fire. Which of those do you think deals with flood mitigation the most?
Well, I would say obviously it's building. Whether it's home elevation, flood proofing, but you also have to think of, after an event, you may have flood damage wiring. You may have, which would deal with electrical. In the island area, we have a lot of bathrooms that are put in below flood elevation. That can be a problem in a flood event, so that brings in your plumbing. Then, of course, fire-wise, we're dealing with the mechanicals that are installed below elevation. That could be damaged.
So it is all kind of intertwined.
It's all together, but building would be the one most used.
Now you say you are, contracted, or you work for towns up and down the Jersey Shore.
Correct.
From
Yes.
LBI and Ocean County through Atlantic County
Yes.
into Cape May County
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
What does a town contract? Why does someone seek out, someone in your position?
In our economic climate right now, if a town does not want to hire someone full time, which would involve benefits, and providing a vehicle during the workday. If they want to stay away from that, they'll contract with an agency, and I will put in as many inspectors, whatever hours that they may need to, to take care of business.
Now, you did mention mechanicals, so if someone sees that their water heater or boiler was exposed to flood waters, what would you suggest that they do?
Well, the first thing I would suggest would be get a hold of a contractor. I mean, don't try to fix anything yourself. YouTube's wonderful, but as far as fixing your mechanical equipment, I would stay away from it. Contact the contractor. Let them give you an estimate or an idea of what is damaged.
Now, did you, with Hurricane Sandy kind of being the benchmark storm, what was your role after Hurricane Sandy? How involved were you, and how much of the damage and of the Jersey Shore did you see?
Well, like I say, I'm up and down the coast. So the further north I go is Barnegat Lake. So and then I have Ship Bottom and Long Beach Township. So between Ship Bottom and Long Beach Township, there was a lot of damage. So we worked about 20 straight days up there just doing evaluations, structural evaluations, whether it was safe for residents to come back or they needed to stay out of their structures. And then, of course, as we worked down, Ventnor had a lot of back bay flooding, so we had a lot of damage to the lower level units. So for the first several months, it was intense, and then of course now the rebuilding starts.
Okay. And I guess a follow-up question to that is, obviously during storms, you're very busy. During quiet times, which we hope is 100% of the time, but we know when other storms coming, and whether it be a nor'easter or a hurricane. But how busy are you, or what's your role during these times of peace, if you will?
Well, there's not me personally, but towns are very active now with preparing residents, preparing structures to be built correctly. So when we do have the next event, hopefully the public's aware and take heed of the warnings. And then, of course, we hope our structures weather the storm better than they did, 12 years ago.
And theoretically, they should.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, what are some ways that building codes have changed since Superstorm Sandy?
Well, right now we're working under the 2015 building code. Prior to that, we were working under 2009 code. We bypassed 2012 for obvious reasons. We knew there was going to be a lot of storm-related changes. As far as the construction of buildings, not a whole lot has changed as far as material. What has changed is elevation requirements, flood venting requirements, elevation of crawl spaces to maintain the grade outside, things like that. That's what's basically changed.
What do you see? I mean, I forecast for a living as a meteorologist. I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you see forecast-wise for additional changes going forward? Is there another one? Is it every 3 years, like 2018, 2021?
There is.
What do you see the direction of future changes going?
I sit on an ICC, which is the International Code Council Committee for high wind construction in residential areas. We're currently working on winds of nearing 200 miles an hour to try to build structures that would withstand that type of wind.
And I can tell you, thankfully, as a meteorologist, a 200 mile per hour wind, it would never happen here, but it's always good to prepare for the worst case scenario. Now, our worst case would be like, 140, 150, but I think it's great that you guys are preparing for even worse that could meteorologically happen here.
Yes. So that being said, there's more strapping, which is metal ties going into the code. There's different types of plywood that span over your studding and your joists to tighten up the building. Nailing patterns have changed in the code. All these things are hopefully going to help us out when the next event happens.
And I guess the code will never be perfect. Just
that's correct.
You know, there'll always be changes to make it better going forward. Okay.
That's true.
Now, other than the major projects such as elevating or new construction, what are other things that residents can do to their homes to better protect against the storms?
You know, Palma, I think one that would help out a lot. We know that elevation is costly. If anyone has a below grade crawl space, if they could fill the crawl space up with sand, so it's even with the outside grade, install flood vents, allow the floodwaters they'll come in and they'll leave. There won't be that dynamic pressure on the foundation system. They won't have to muck out their crawl space, so to speak, after a flood. That can be handled very cheaply.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not costly at all to do that.
Okay, and again, this is live and interactive, and you can come down to Irish Pub and join our conversation and talk with us afterwards, or ask your question on Facebook if you want to remain behind the scenes. Johnny, Villa's resident up by Delaware Bay, is an A-zone resident, wants to know, his house is sinking. Lives in the A-zone. What can be done? He can't get help. I mean, is there anything, someone in that situation can do?
Well, first of all, Johnny, if your house is sinking, you need to get an architect or an engineer, and let's find out why. Yes, A-zone, your elevation can be 8, 9, 10 in an A-zone. I'm not sure what Lower Township's freeboard is. It may be an extra foot or 2 feet. But get a hold of a professional. Let's find out why the foundation system is sinking first and foremost.
Okay, good advice. Thanks, Johnny, for the question.
So we know in each municipality there are different, elevation requirements. Is it also different for each individual structure as well, depending on where they're located?
Not for the structure itself. The structure itself is governed by the building code as far as materials. As far as the elevation, yes, that's the individual municipalities. We know we have our base flood elevation, and we at least need 1 foot above that. Now, we all know that some municipalities are 2, 3, and I've heard of possibly a 4-foot freeboard. So you really need to consult your local municipality before you even really talk to your architect for design.
Okay. Catherine asks on the kind of a follow-up to an earlier question about the building code and how it always changes. Catherine wants to know, what changes in the building code would you like to see that haven't been implemented yet?
I would like to see everything below the floor level be of a flood-resistant material. It could be a composite. It could be a treated lumber wood that goes a little further with maybe a ground contact treatment. But I would love to see your sill plate, your joist, and if you wanted to go as far as Catherine, maybe a treated plywood floor. That would be the best case scenario.
Great question, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, do you think people have become more informed and aware of the damages of flooding since the storm?
Oh, there's no question. I see Mr. Heist here. The way the community between insurance, surveyors, engineers, architects, building departments, your local floodplain managers, your building construction official, they're trying to get a lot of awareness out there, and I really am happy to see that.
Now, how do you think our awareness, I'm going to use some of your travels in this next question here. You have seen what Hurricane Katrina did by, visiting and helping out after Katrina made landfall, made a landfall in Florida, then of course the deadlier landfall on the Gulf Coast, and then Andrew, perhaps one of the worst storms ever, in fact the worst storm ever in Florida. I mean, you go down to Homestead, so you go down 2 areas hard hit. How do those storms compare to something we've seen, and how does the awareness in those parts of the country compare to up here?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It was a good question, and it was an honor for me to go and serve those communities. and I was able to see a Category 5 with Hurricane Andrew that just took structural steel and twisted it like pretzels. Then I was able to go to the Alabama area where they experienced a 20-plus foot storm surge.
And just to put that in perspective, the storm surge here from Sandy in Atlantic and Cape May County, 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah.
So imagine something, much higher than that. I mean, up towards Sandy Hook, it was, I think 10 or 11 feet. But you're talking like, 5 times the surge of what we saw.
Correct. Okay. And then, of course, I have been to Haiti after an earthquake, which there are no building codes. And thankfully, we're so far ahead in this country with our requirements. And then we come to Superstorm Sandy, not even a hurricane.
Yeah, not officially a hurricane.
Not even a hurricane.
If you asked me, it was, but that's a topic for another live stream and another debate.
And we see the devastation. I mean, I saw the elevated beachfront structures in Holgate completely scour, a 20-foot dune taken away. I've witnessed the Back Bay flooding here in our own Ventnor. So I guess it's fortunate that I've seen a couple different ways that hurricanes can impact our lives and our structures.
And every area is different, and every area responds differently and is impacted differently as well.
That's
so I
correct.
think that's a unique perspective that you bring back to South Jersey. So
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Now, how do you see municipality building departments are busier since the storm?
Well, number one, you have home elevations. That is still going on. I think it's fueled by government monies that are available, grants as such. And then of course you have people, residents that have had to walk away from their homes, unfortunately. So that is brought in speculators that are picking up these homes, that are willing to spend the money and elevate and then resell to local residents. So that's good. You have your new structures where maybe an old structure has been torn down, someone has come in and built new, and of course they comply with the new requirements. 2, 3, 4 feet of freeboard, have a very minimal flood insurance premium, which is great for the homeowner.
Do you deal with, more requirements, more codes, more money necessarily to get better prepared? I mean, do you deal with, an upset populace at all, or, upset people? I mean, are they all like, all right, this is money well spent, this is great, we need this to be better prepared? Or is it like, all right, I mean, are these codes really necessary? Is there any pushback, I guess, by the community or, in anyone you've encountered?
There's always pushback when you come to enforcement. And the building department is an enforcement. But I have to emphasize that the building codes in New Jersey they're minimal. That's the very minimal that the code-making body says you need to keep this structure upright.
And I'm presuming you contrast that with somewhere like Florida. I'm not sure the building codes in Florida, but I'm sure they're probably much more stringent. Being in Hurricane Alley, if you will. New Jerseyans have it easier compared to Florida, let's say.
Yeah, that's correct. Their code is much more strict than ours because of the wind zone of, say, Dade County versus Atlantic County.
Right.
Now, a follow-up. What was it like as a building official immediately after Superstorm Sandy?
Immediately after the storm,
a few days.
Yeah.
A few days.
when we could get back onto the islands, it was a shock to me to see the damage that we had based on the reports of a superstorm, not even a hurricane. So when the building departments then started to analyze, for example, Margate, where you worked and I worked at the time, we went street by street trying to determine the flood elevation, where it was on the buildings. There was a trash line. You could see where the elevation was, and you had to go building by building, and just give a report, what needs to be done, what is acceptable, what can be saved. So it was quite a task.
And in this quiet season, here we are, nor'easter season. We're getting past now. We had a rough March this year. March was kind of the bad nor'easter year. You never know what the bad month's going to be. It can be anywhere from October to March or April. Hurricane season has begun yet. What do you recommend residents do right now? Here we are, quiet time. What's the best course of action? When things are pretty good.
Right, just prepare. Mitigate if you can, but prepare. Like I said, work on your flood vents. That's a minimal expense. Work on your flood vents. Work on your outdoor furniture in the yard, that your shed that may not be tied down, your propane tank if you don't have natural gas, an oil tank that you might have in your yard. Anything like that you can anchor to keep it from not only going through your foundation system, but maybe your neighbors.
Great advice.
I do want to thank everyone for watching tonight. You could follow us on Facebook, New Jersey Coastal Coalition, and our YouTube and Instagram. My grandma is actually in the audience tonight, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, if you do come down and watch the cast live, which you're invited to, you can have beers, you can have drinks. You not only get to meet Palma, you get to meet Palma's family. And she has a wonderful family, and they're so supportive.
Of the bar, not me.
Of both, of course. And supportive of the Coastal Coalition as well. So you get to meet the guests, you get to meet the whole Accardi clan from all over South Jersey, and you get to come down and chat with us about the show or other topics as well. Again, no tidal floodings forecast. May and June, pretty quiet month. We are watching the start of hurricane season in 2 weeks. Of course, we have Memorial Day weekend coming up next weekend, and we want the nice weather for that. Forecast does not look nice going forward. We are watching dying showers and thunderstorms tonight. Some heavy rain and lightning, but the severe threat diminishing. A lot of folks just saying hi, no questions. So want to shout out Susan DeRoss, Teresa Rogers, Scott Derricon, Carmela Caruso. Nice to have you guys on too. Thanks for all the hellos, the great comments. Debbie Lynn, Laney O'Reilly, Justin Thomas. I'll ask Justin, did sneak in a question I missed. What affects you most during the rebuilding? I guess, I don't know if that's personally or professionally, during the rebuilding process. What kind of has the most impact on you?
Well, why don't we stay professional?
Okay.
It's probably the process. Let's get the permits in. Let's get zoning approval. Let's get the permits in, reviewed, approved, and out the door, so that construction can start. I think that's the biggest thing we have to do as construction offices, is try to expedite these permits to get these guys working and get people back in their houses.
I might steal this from somewhere else, but you just got to trust the process, right?
That's true. That's true.
And this is from a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
So who's going to go home and watch a Celtics game tonight? But thank you guys so much for joining us. Any last minute questions?
I've had the pleasure working with Jay, and he's a great guy and a very knowledgeable person. So thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
And
My
the
pleasure.
Irish Pub and the New Jersey Coastal Coalition.
All
I'd
right.
like to give you a T-shirt.
All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you
Palma.
next Tuesday at 7 when actually I'm going to one-up Palma here because I know our guest is from Upper Township next week.
I thought it was lower.
Oh.
No,
It's Upper Township? All right, so usually I know nothing about next week's guest at Palma's, so I know it's Upper Township next week. So we got Cape May County well represented
Captain of
over the last couple
Strathmere.
weeks.
Okay.
Beach Patrol Bill Hantley.
Yeah, and a beach
That's what it
patrol
is.
perspective, and who knows tidal flooding and what the ocean and bays can do more than someone that has a front row seat, throughout the season. So we'll look forward to that. We'll see you here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Irish Pub, and again, all brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition each and every Tuesday at this time. Tidal Flooding Talk. Thanks for being here.
Good night.